You know what I just realized? I never did anything for 200 subs. That's mostly in part of how I've kept juggling that number for a while now. But since I'm officially in the 200s, now's the perfect time to do something special for it. And what better way to celebrate 200 subscribers than by looking over my biggest failures? Oh, right, I need to announce the topic. Yeah, this special's gonna be the top 10 worst commentaries I've made. For the 5 years I did commentaries, I've been told from time to time that I never admit I'm wrong. Well, it's time to shatter that idea like a window in the ghetto. Couple rules. 1, I actually had to have made the video or at least had a huge hand in its creation, so collabs that I don't claim responsibility for will not be on this list. 2nd, I'm only adding videos I disowned, so videos that I just don't feel very proud of, or videos that simply get negative reception but I still stand by, won't be included. Which means that my commentary on Midnight Phantom won't be on here, for example. Conversely, though I don't see it happening, if a video you like from me is on this list, don't feel stupid for liking it. Our opinions on the video just differed. So, if you're ready, we're counting down the top 10 worst commentaries I've made. To really get things going, I thought it'd be appropriate to start at the list with the first video I've ever disowned. Believe it or not, this one in particular came pretty early on in my commentary career, and I disowned it in like mere days. The video I'm talking about, of course, is my commentary on Mr. Cool Guy 32. And problem number 1. Is it really that hard to pronounce my username? It's not. I even said it myself in the video. It's not that hard. Slothboy494. Come on, that should fly right off the tongue. Right off the bat, the fact that this is a response commentary should already give a decent idea of what you're getting into in terms of disowned videos. I think what really put this video on the road to the nether realm was what I was responding to. Cool Guy had done a commentary on my first commentary on Lance 1000. Yeah, I think I could have picked more worthwhile battles there. Also, contrary to what my past self said, there is in fact a bad time to defend yourself, and one of those times being when the video you're defending yourself from in question is deleted. I don't exactly know when the video was released, but I do know that it was deleted the same day Lance deleted his infamous commentary on me. Either way, going after that video with those conditions in mind made me look super vindictive, and really that wasn't necessary in the least bit. The points I made weren't anything laudable either. If I could slice something into my defense, Cool Guy's video was just so void of substance that refuting anything was an uphill battle, which I guess would further prove why I shouldn't have responded to it, but the good points I made were passable at best. I also said I'd only make a certain point once, but I'd immediately go against that and repeat the point like 4 times. I don't know. Cool Guy's video was such an obnoxious little faggot throughout the video, and with his shouting and condescension, so I really felt like knocking him down a few pegs. But in hindsight, I shouldn't have let him get under my skin like that. In essence, my response to him was nothing more than a revenge fanfic, and I think anyone who's seen Chambers of My Heart CC rant from 4 years ago can see the fatal errors in making those. One of the biggest mistakes a commentator can make is making a pointless commentary. If a commentary has no point in existing, then it can seriously kill any momentum it had going for it. And a decent way to make a pointless commentary is to just push one out due to some arbitrary monthly schedule and the fact that you had something to get off your chest. For my first defense in pointless video making, I ring in the number 9 entry with my commentary on Cryopez. Them kissing Microsoft's ass and limitlessly praising them shouldn't come as a shock to you, nor should you take the fanboys seriously. In fact, you even bring them up as feeding into what they want. They know this is gonna piss PS4 fans off, so they exploited it to get that result. Do you remember this video at all? It's okay if you don't. No one does. And on some level, I probably should have kept it that way. Looking back at this video, I have no idea why I felt like I needed to commentate on it. This video is basically like a Twinkie, all fluff and filler. Sure, Cryopez did sound pretty whiny about Rise of the Tomb Raider being a timed exclusive for Xbox One, but at the end of the day, I was debunking statements that realistically didn't need to be debunked. Yeah, all I did in that video was tack at him for 12 minutes. Oh yeah, and then there's that ending line in my final thoughts where I practically admitted there was no reason for me to make the video. If we helped you out, you're welcome, bud. If you knew about this already, then that's awesome. Way to go, old me. Way to fucking go. Yeah, I'm sure Cryopez is real grateful that we told him something he literally could have just Googled. It's not like this video was entertaining either. I didn't make any jokes or say anything profound that will have stuck around in your head. But again, this video was made when I still adhered to some stupid monthly schedule, and now you know one of the reasons why I don't follow a strict time frame anymore. No, I'm pretty sure if I'd released this video with my current schedule, it wouldn't have mattered, because the main problem with this video is that I have virtually nothing worth listening to. What's the point of making a video if you have no noteworthy statements? Well, if there is a point to it, my video on Cryopus certainly won't help you find it. I remember that trend I tried to follow in summer 2016 where I commentated on top 10 worst YouTubers lists, because there were always something I wanted to cover. However, since I was a few years late to that party, that soil yielded no bounty. But given my first attempt at covering those types of lists, maybe that was a good thing.
You're a fucking idiot!
Oh yay! The overused Filthy Frank meme that everyone seems to be abusing. Such creativity. You know, while we're at it, let me pull up a John Cena meme. How about it?
When this video first came out, I was completely oblivious as to how badly I actually fucked it up. For one thing, it was my first full-length commentary edited using Shotcut. And, my editing was kind of all over the place. I wish I'd realized the random black screens in the beginning of my clips, but that was before I learned about dragging images to the very start of the timeline. To be fair, however, Shotcut basically never explains anything to you, which is also why I unintentionally ear-raped my audience with my first ever audio duct.
I can only imagine how disappointed everyone who actually commented was when they found out who the #1 entry is.
Here's to not knowing how to balance volumes. So along with my slappy editing, it appears that I had my head up my ass while scripting this whole thing. There was very little reason for me to complain about experts' Leafy style production values. I mean, I never get into Leafy, so that's the reason I thought he just sucked at editing, but in hindsight, this point sounds like a massive nitpick, mostly because it is one. Oh, and there's that fact that I mixed up projection with double standards. And let's not forget me accidentally adding on to his point due to a lack of thinking before typing.
It's their video. They're not expecting some asshole like you to go over there and steal it and react to it.
You don't know that! I mean, I can guarantee you didn't expect me to take this commentary on you, and I sure as fuck didn't ask you if I could do it.
It must have been an off day for me. I'll admit I wasn't wrong about everything in this video. I definitely stand by my point about how stupid it is of him to put a reactor higher on the worst list than Sam Pepper, a fucking sexual predator, but I wasn't exactly good at conveying my problems with experts entries as a whole. If there's anything left I could say about this video, it's that the sequel I made to it is definitely more deserving of your time. Did you think I was always the feminazi anarchist I am now? Well, then you've probably never seen my first commentary, and I'm sorry for defiling your memories by showing it to you today.
I'm actually gonna tell you people what I think about you now!
I think that there's more to being a president than criticizing people. I'm not into politics either, but I know for a fact this isn't gonna end well.
Yes, my commentary on Cult of Dusty certainly did not end up being the debut I intended it to be. But perhaps I should preface this entry by telling you exactly what my political views were at the time of me making this. I was a bit of a right libertarian. Yeah, I was pretty damn stupid, and this video is a decent exhibit of that. The gears in my brain definitely weren't turning here, because my responses were the equivalent of beating someone half to death with a crowbar and asking them to recite Coulomb's law flawlessly. Right out the gate, there's me gimping for rich folks as if Bill Gates himself was gonna give me $1 billion just because I stood up for him against a country boy on the internet.
Okay, listen, you hobo. Just because you're a dirt poor dumbass doesn't give you the right to call rich people whiny greedy fucks at every twist and turn. The rich people I hang out with are very generous and not once have whined about their taxes or anything else.
Me splitting hairs as to why pardoning people in prison for weed is bad by attaching completely separate crimes to possession.
I don't care how long your sentence is, if you've been sentenced for marijuana, tomorrow your ass is walking free!
Sure, go ahead and release a bunch of people who are in jail for weed solely because they're in jail for weed. Did you stop to think what they could be in for? You know, extortion, murder, assault, who the fuck knows what else they did just to get some hands on weed?
And me saying that because college is optional, that means publicly funded colleges shouldn't exist, despite Dusty already making note of the optional nature of higher education.
The government will have your back. We will set up college campuses all over this country, completely subsidized by the government, so you people can have all the education that you want perfectly free.
You know that college is completely optional, right? If you don't want to go, or if you can't afford to, no one's forcing you into it.
As a little fun fact, there was actually a point I forewent because I never uploaded the audio clip to my computer. It was in response to Dusty saying he'd implement universal healthcare in his second week as president. My retort? I actually fucking whine that universal healthcare is communistic. Yeah, I was exactly like those PragerU fags who were all about personal freedom unless it means helping somebody else. I really cannot believe that I used to think this way. I guess this is what happens when your parents indoctrinate you into their personal beliefs. You become just as ill-informed as they are. But I couldn't be happier with how I am today. I really have grown as a person and moved away from such an amateurish way of thinking. What was it I said in the beginning of that commentary?
Alright, let's fuck this up.
Yeah, I'm afraid I've got some bad news, younger me. You definitely fucked something up, but it wasn't Dusty's video. Hey, remember my commentary group? You know the one, the Syndicate of Outcasted Commentators? Those are some fun times. In all honesty, I don't regret it one bit. I did what I could for it, but I guess it just wasn't meant to be. But you know what's one thing that definitely had less purpose being created than the group itself? Our commentary on Lunatic the Game.
Sup, losers, wake up.
Jason, I have a good question for you. Why did you kidnap all of us?
Because vengeance.
But DiCaprio isn't here.
What DiCaprio? Leonardo DiCaprio? Because you know we can't get him.
Yep, 4 years later and this video is still a massive stinker. I really don't know what was going through our heads when we decided to release the video. Let's start with the biggest problem with the video. Clown Dude wrote the whole thing! Yeah, minus our final thoughts and some edits Kurumi made to the outro skit, Clown Dude decided to take complete control over the script. I will take responsibility as leader for not putting my foot down and canning this one, but if any of you guys know what Clown Dude is like, trust me when I say that taking charge is easier said than done where he's involved. The next part is our audio troubles. All of us sounded distractingly different from each other, with Kurumi and Justin being barely audible, Jason sounding like he was coming from a CB radio, and Clown Dude's voice cracking like the Liberty Bell. And that's not even counting his shitty-ass ear rape in his final thoughts.
Seriously, never do this again! You hack! You happy quack!
Just send me your hearing test bills if you got any. Our arguments? They were basically fictional. And again, this is my fault for not making necessary revisions. Cause to be truthful, I don't even understand half of what I was saying. It's not even like Lunatic's video was hard to commentate on. We just didn't put our best foot forward. In fact, we didn't put any foot forward. We just stamped our feet into the lithosphere and pretended we were trapped. Like, at least with the previous entries, I took the videos at least somewhat seriously. None of us involved, especially me, took this as seriously as we should have. Effort means everything to the outcome of a video, and a lack of it can kill the video as quickly as it starts. But I guess some lessons have to be learned the hard way, don't they? By far, the staple of my channel is political commentaries, and that's kind of by accident. I just ended up having the most fun covering videos of that specific genre, and that's what stuck, even if it didn't always end well for me. But if you really want to see how low it can go, look no further than my commentary on Milo Stewart. That's what racism and bigotry leads to, dumb fuck. What, do you think violence against women exists because women are perceived to be important? Or that Jim Crow laws were somewhat lenient? Or hell, anything Trump has said about foreign policy is actually negligible? I mean, I know that you're a fucking idiot, but at least try to be subtle about it. Sorry, I know some people said this video was a step up from some of my other stuff, but I honestly can't stand it. Not only was I obviously riding Ponder's coattails with her commentary coming out only a week or so prior to mine, but it was such an insincere attempt to dissuade people from throwing the godforsaken SJW label at me by saying, "Hey look, here's someone with similar politics to me, and I disagree with him. I'm not as pathetic as you think." Which, really, is not the same mentality I had when I first set out to make commentaries. In essence, I was being a huge sellout with this commentary, and it shows with how I made a half-hearted attempt in finding problems that weren't there. Yep, you know the part I'm talking about. Proof, proof, proof! Where the fuck is it? You can't just reference something like that and expect us to believe you sight unseen. You actually have to present this shit to me so I can actually take you seriously. But because you leave me with nothing, I will do nothing of the sort. This is all ignoring the big issue with how much I, and many other people who went after Milo's video, missed the point he was making. Milo was only arguing how privileged people have subconscious biases that they're often not aware of. He didn't literally mean all white men are racist and sexist. I still maintain the fact that Milo conveyed this message badly, and if I'm correct, it was one of his earliest videos, so that might have had something to do with it. but that doesn't mean my attempt at joining the cool kids was any better. And you might have noticed that I've been referring to this as an attempt a lot, because that's all this video is, at its core. An attempt. An attempt that probably should have never been made. I think Panther put it best, as she usually does.
Snake! You fucked it up!
Yeah, I really did. Co-ops. I like them. In fact, the video that put me on the radar was a co-op, and a couple of my best commentaries are co-ops. However, while co-ops are my favorite videos to do, it wasn't always easy going. I think this video right here is a good example of that.
Oh, and this is a surprise. Another ranter bitching about Bop. Seriously, if you want your rant to have credibility, don't mention Bop or else you'll be taken as seriously as a nuke threat from North Korea.
Of course anyone who rants at the community brings up Bop. I blame Eddie the scammer for this nonsense.
Oh dear, does anyone even remember this video? If not, I don't blame you. It was terrible. In my first co-op with the DiCaprio DeLorean, we thought we had found commentary gold with one of the easiest targets ever, a CC rant. But this was no ordinary CC rant. It was a CC rant by someone who distorted their voice, which probably should have been a huge giveaway that the person we were covering in question was a troll. But in either way, it's not like if No More Travis wasn't a troll that our points would have held up all that much. But really, I think the fact that this video came out a mere week after a certain video of mine that may or may not have ended up at the #1 spot that I had said I'd try to do better next time over didn't help at all. Well then, that's really all I got to say about this video. It's easily one of my biggest mistakes, and looking back on it, it makes me red in the face. Next century. I think I might have taken avatars a bit too seriously during my time as a commentator, and for the life of me I can never figure out why. Like, when you really get down to it, all an avatar is just the kind of picture you set your voice to. So I don't know why I took them so seriously. You can probably tell where I'm going with this, so why not just bite the bullet and showcase the #3 entry, that being my avatar test run.
Right, because that totally doesn't make it sound like you're just trying to shield yourself from negative reactions and flame wars. Except that it does. A lot.
Okay, I know I said in this very video that I wasn't going to include it in my main commentary series, but let's be honest here. It was, for all intents and purposes, a commentary, whether I wanted to admit it or not. Yeah, digging up a 2-year-old video for the sole point of seeing what it looked like if I used a different video game character as my avatar as well, let's just say I've made better decisions. I will be completely upfront with you. I did have a biting urge to cover Gamertron's video that Acrolath covered, and the impetus that I felt there were things he could have said. Little to my knowledge, the reason he didn't say those things is because those things were wrong. Watching Acrolath's commentary on this video was painful. Not because I can't handle criticism, it's because I was being plainly shown how much of a dunderhead I actually was when I was making that video. Had I just left it as me responding to a simple snippet of Gamertron's video, or hell, just saying a bunch of random words with Lady Maria as my avatar, things probably wouldn't have gone this way. But nope, I had to go and make a complete ass of myself. Why? Well, you tell me, because I gave up on that investigation long ago. Sure, I could point to Dirtbike Revan's avatar test by making a response to Illinagai's triumph, but not only is that completely unrelated to my fuck-up, but Reddin's video was only 4 minutes long as opposed to my 30-minute failed experiment. Not even Comic Jack made such a huge blunder with his own avatar test, and that's saying quite a bit. I assure you that a mistake of this gravity will not be repeated again, commentator or not. Do you want to know exactly when SOC went wrong? Like, the exact day? March 30th, 2016, the day our commentary on Roaring Thunder Pursuit was released.
Wow, you are easily impressed. Well, now instead of a Master Sword, I will have a gun for the rest of this video.
Fucking God, if you're gonna talk over her, lower her fucking volume. Normally, I prefer if you just shut the fuck up altogether, but I'm commentating on you, so I kinda need to know what you're saying.
I think I know of a better solution here. How about getting your hands on a video downloader? Hey, I know everyone said it already, but it would help.
You know how I said that co-ops are my favorite videos to do? Yeah, well, 3's a crowd, and this video proves it. First, let's talk about possibly the biggest factor in why this video turned out the way it did, and that's the dev cycle. A lot of shit happened during production of this video. First with DiCaprio DeLorean quitting commentaries in the middle of scripting, leading MZXLR to make a new title sequence, then with Jason not being able to record his lines for a long time. By the time scripting actually got done, we lost the spark. The only thing on our minds at that point was pushing the damn thing out because we were sick to death of hearing about it. And because of our apathy, we didn't even put any effort into debunking RTP's statements. It's not so much we didn't pay attention to what he was saying, not that you really could, because he's terrible at explaining things due to him never taking his videos seriously while simultaneously taking them too seriously as far as tone goes, but we never even took the time to understand the full context of the situation leading up to the video RTP covered. Because there was a lot to brush up on, like more than anyone else could imagine. There is also the deal of him closing his channel and being forgotten about like a month prior to the video's release, but I think just mentioning that is enough on its own. Overall, this video just epitomizes making a video out of obligation, and come to think of it, that's a problem that plagued SAC up until its dissipation. See also the SAC comment 6760. RTP sounded like a fun bandwagon to catch, but the dream became a nightmare in short time, resulting in a video that essentially no one asked for, except maybe MDXLR, but that's only because she made the intro for it, and she ended up commenting on the damn video anyway. But I can at least take solace in the fact that this commentary got lost to history just as RTP did. And honestly, can we keep it that way? Just do me this one salad. Here we are, the number 1 entry. This one I knew I had to make special. This is the video that I knew I could not change my mind about, one I absolutely detested, one that no matter how much time passes, I would look at it with the exact same disapproval each time. It's my commentary on The Amazing Atheist. Yeah, I've made no secret about how embarrassed I am of this video, so much to the point that I'm not even using the original footage just to make sure this video gets lost to history. Which I guess might be cancelled out because I'm talking about it yet again, but at the very least, everyone will have only heard of it through hearsay going forward. There's so much wrong with this video that going over the flaws would cause me physical pain. I know I said that my Cool Guy commentary was the first commentary I ever disowned, but this is just my first ever dud. And I think even calling it a mere dud completely delegitimizes how bad this commentary actually is. This commentary is basically the sequel no one asked for to my commentary on Cryopez. How, you may ask? Because every little fucking thing I said in this commentary was absolutely worthless, except for like one point where I said TJ was stating the obvious, and even then, that's not enough to save this video. Nothing could save this video. Fucking the Justice League, Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, and the X-Men could all come together to try to save this video, and they just fucking rage quit because of how impassable it is. I mean, not for nothing, I found TJ's response to my video, yes he actually responded somehow, to be an obnoxious example of punching down at a smaller YouTuber. Yeah, more so than what MSkull did to Basically Eevee. When you have millions of subscribers, I don't think someone who only had like 60 at the time should really be that much of a concern to you. On the other hand, some could argue that my video was just that horrendous that he felt so compelled to not let things go unanswered. Either way though, the shame this video brings me will haunt me to my grave, that I'm sure, because having to deal with TJ's fan brats in the wake of his response, coupled with how much my content stagnated in the months following, with some of my biggest duds popping up in that same time frame, those being the aforementioned No More Travis 368 co-op and the SACOM on RTP, it's safe to say this commentary was a bad omen for the 90-degree nosedive my commentary career would take in the early 2016. Now you've probably noticed I'm not really talking directly about the points I made in the commentary, and that's because I don't want to. Not even for the sake of history will I willingly go back and put myself through that video. I could redo it if I wanted to, but all I could really say is that TJ whinging about generalizations is hypocritical of him, given how he uses them all the time, with no irony. But that hardly matters. Besides, the damage has been done. There's no point in digging up a past commentary I swore would stay buried, especially not over one worthless commentary whose resting place I will continue to spit on for as long as I live. And if unable to spit, I will piss on it. And that about does it. The 10 worst commentaries I've ever made. I'm sure some entries you were expecting, some you weren't, but now you at least know where I stand regarding this particular question should it ever arise. Making this list really made me look back on my time as a commentator. If you ask me if I were to ever do it again, like from scratch in 2015 and not just simply restarting my career, my answer would be in a heartbeat. Because while being a commentator brought me a great deal of displeasure at times, it also kind of shaped me into a different person. A person who, for better or worse, was different from who I always was. I went from being a loser in New York to being a loser in New York with a mildly popular YouTube channel. So I guess I can call being a commentator a bittersweet symphony. Thanks for watching this video, and thanks for sticking by me all these years. I don't know where my post-commentary journey will take me, but I'm more than willing to share it with you all. Till we meet again, happy trails. I think I speak for everyone when I say that 2017 fucking sucked for the commentary community. Specifically for me. I got into a bit of trouble earlier in the year, and I still have been desperately clawing my way out of the mess. But my troubles aside, commentators in general were bitter and hostile to each other for most of the time. Friendships ended, personal beef was aired to the public when it should have stayed private, all that shit. As you might have guessed, the commentaries most of us put out suffered as well. And here I'm going to list the 10 absolute worst commentaries to have ever been released this year. Pretty much any shitty commentary is fair game here, and they don't have to be videos I covered either since I already took care of that. So, if you're ready, we're counting on the top 10 worst commentaries of 2017. Now, I'm putting this video low on the list mainly since the user in question heavily detests it, and because it's one of the least bad atrocities to be released this year. That said, that's the only defense I can muster for this shit. Without any further ado, to kick off the list, we have Acolyte's short commentary and Megatube TV.
Congrats, mate. You noticed a trend and made yourself arbitrarily angry about it. Like, what else is this rant other than a massive overreaction to a fundamentally harmless fad that's going to be gone in a while?
Now, it's a serious stretch to call this a commentary, because for the majority of the video's runtime, it's just Acrolat pasting Megadupe's so goddamn petty clip into his rant on fidget spinners, as if to say Megadupe's being a hypocrite. Problem here. Megadupe disowned the video the petty clip came from, that being his rant on the CC. Coupled with that, Acrolat pretty much showed he had no legit argument against Megadupe's video beyond hypocrisy, which kind of begged for some tool to scream hypocrisy doesn't invalidate a point. Then he ends out the video with a live-action clip of him basically saying that Megadupe's overreacting to a trend, even though something being a trend doesn't mean it can't be stupid. All in all, it's well deserving of the title of the laziest thing Acrolat has ever put out. There's barely any effort put into the video, and while I do regret not covering it in time, at least I got a chance to do so here. So we'll be revisiting an old friend of ours this time, and it'll be on a great subject, video games! Who's number 9, you might ask? Well, Super Funny Bros with his commentary on low-end PC Gamer.
Why would you spend your money on a gaming machine with shitty hardware that you can't upgrade to make it better because Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo say so, that lacks a variety of games, and in Microsoft's case, make you pay $60 a year to play online in addition to your internet bill and still be subjected to advertisements on a premium service?
Oh, Tom, what shall we ever do with you and your memory? I guess bash the everlasting shit out of it. This is officially Tom's last ever commentary before he took his channel down. And boy, was it pretty shit. Tom is unsurprisingly an obnoxious PC master race type of guy, and as such, his arguments don't hold up. He constantly argues in favor of PCs by saying that consoles don't run games at 60 FPS, despite the PS4 Pro dismantling that in a nanosecond. He fails to show his research, he doesn't give any quick examples of the things he's talking about. Oh, and he gets onto low-end PC gamers' case for having bad audio while having bad audio himself, and for stuttering unscripted, even though Tom is using a script and stutters too. If this wasn't a sign that Tom lost his edge, as if his video on camera wasn't enough, I don't know what is. But hey, the past is in the past, am I right? You know what's one thing I seem to be really good at doing? Avoiding people I've already covered. Like, you'll never see me commentate on the same person more than twice. The only people I've covered twice are Lance 1000 and Comet Jack. Everyone else has been only subjected to my wrath once. And for good reason. Most of the people I cover have been a complete waste of my breath. Case in point would be Jorm, and he'll be ringing in the 8th entry with his commentary on doodle tones.
I hear the autistic screechings of, well, hypocrisy doesn't make you wrong. Jump on one's case and give the other a pass for doing something of the exact same nature? I think it does make you wrong in this case.
Now, hating on Susie is by no means an unpopular thing to do, but Jorm does it in the worst way possible. This video practically encapsulates all the issues with his undying hatred for the CC's favorite trans girl. I'm not exactly sure what spawned this shit, but the best I can figure it's from Susie's tirade and Megan Kammen's shipwreck of a stream earlier this year. He doesn't really bring up anything new with her. He just keeps parroting the whole Susie lives in an echo chamber bullshit that everyone got done saying weeks beforehand. In this case, Jorm whines at Susie for making a retrospective on Jim and Henry's co-op on Give and Take. His half-assed criticisms include Susie supposedly resurrecting old drama, accusing her of hypocrisy and double standards, and failing to make any real points against Susie's arguments. I'm serious. If you watch this video, all of his criticisms really boil down to demeaning Susie as a person instead of the video she made. That pretty much gives me the impression that he was upset that the video he was covering wasn't all that bad and just had to find something to complain about, no matter how irrelevant it might be. Oh well, that's the bet he made. Hey, you guys want to see a shittier version of Jorm's video on Susie? No? Well, too bad, cause Obscurian made one! Introducing Obscurian, aka Blaze of Arcana's, commentary on Susie and her partner Joshua Colbyhouse.
Yeah, I've seen his commentaries.
Yeah, but where's your proof that he uses that tactic? Because not everyone has seen Slayer's content before. And just saying that you've seen his content before doesn't mean anything because you don't show clips or proof.
This video comes from an even more toxic foundation since it essentially comes off as Obscurian trying to cover his tracks for the bad things he's done this year. Obscurian badly defended Mr. Demon Slayer's god-awful commentary on Joshua in a clear attempt to make it sound like everyone who gave harsh criticism to Joshua was always in the right, despite Obscurian, Dick Sponge, and Demon Slayer being the opposite. He actually thought we were dumb enough to think that Demon Slayer's first point was a joke, when it was so obvious that Slayer was being legit. He was trying too hard to make it look like Joshua was in a position where you could say anything you want about him and be correct about it, when that's not true for anyone. Obscurian's video can be boiled down to, you suck because you defended Joshua, which is the same bend of logic that was used against me in my commentary on Midnight Phantom. So yeah, I kind of have a bone to pick here. Obscurian also makes complaints against Joshua that had already been addressed by Joshua himself and things that he admitted he wants to fix. So he had no real motivation to make the commentary. I'm left with no choice but to think he did this specifically to bash Joshua and Susie, people he's outed his hatred for. Obscurian, you're subscribed to me, so I know you're watching. You don't have to like either of these two, but if you were really worth your salt, you'd not make videos like the one you made here. I'm kind of starting to think that commentators are following this philosophy that making a video a co-op or a collaboration will stop it from sucking. What those same people fail to understand is that good videos aren't defined by the participants, but the abilities of the participants. Quality over quantity, my friends. To show you exactly what I mean, look no further than Supersonic Ward 15 and Sean Sampson's co-op and Awesomeness 45, better known as Halo Fan.
You see that, Sean? That's how you do it!
Thank you, Supersonic Ward 15. I really appreciate that.
You can learn a thing or two from me, even though my avatar is Fluttershy.
Let me knock this out of the way first. Yes, Halo Fan was confirmed to be a troll a millennium ago. That much is true. But even if Halo Fan was a legit commentator, these two failed miserably at debunking such flimsy arguments. The first problem here is the chemistry. Sean's monotonous line delivery mixed with Sonic Ward's boisterous demeanor just rapes my mind. And a lack of chemistry between participants can kill a collaboration very quick. Especially when we jump back to Sonic Ward screaming in our faces right after Sean sluggishly lulls us to sleep. You know what else bugs me about this video? The time travel plot. It's very incohesive to anyone with even more than a cursory knowledge of the subject matter. Plus, there's no reason for them to time travel in the first place. Legit, when you watch the video, it's kind of pointless. It's like they just added it in there just to seem flashy. What's worse is that they spent over 3 minutes setting this story up when the main focus should be the commentary. I understand my intro skit and my co-op with Panda was a bit lengthy, but that was 2 minutes of a 42-minute video. Sonic Ward and Shen's video is 12 minutes long, meaning there's only 6 minutes of any commentating. As for the points, they're either incredibly flawed or just damage controlling from Shen. To wrap it up, because I know I spent a lot of time on this entry, there's a right way to do a co-op and a wrong way to do one. These guys did it the wrong way. I think it's pretty clear that the anti-SJW community has pretty much gone to shit, with many figureheads of the community doing any retarded shit they can to make themselves seem like the better party, or just flat out saying that SJWs are bad because they are SJWs. So to be this year's shitty anti-SJW video is I Anti-Theist's, yes that's his name, video on Dylan Marone.
If you can't understand a concept, which is that fucking simple, I'm genuinely curious how you were able to use a computer.
Yeah, you know it's a bad sign when the video's poor quality is masked by admittedly professional grade editing. It's just dressing up a battle of poison with a Dr. Pepper label. There's little I can say about this video, mostly because it's so devoid of substance. Anti-Theist basically studied his buzzwords and generic rebuttals before making the video, and it shows. Not to mention, at one point in his video, he actually calls for restricting people's freedom of expression. You know, something that skeptics like Anti-Theist are massive defenders of. According to people like him, only ideas he likes are permitted to have freedom of expression, which is something that SJWs are constantly criticized for. I'm done with this. Next entry.
And, what I'm about to say might, blow your mind here, but dare I say victim blaming can potentially be a good thing? Victim blaming can help teach people, or women in this case, not to do certain things if they don't want to get assaulted. Maybe others can learn from this as well, so they can't get raped or assaulted.
This video is a goddamn headache. And what can only be seen as Chapter 5 in the drama surrounding Super Funny Bros' video on libertarian socialist rants, and if Reddin's cryptic tweets about his response to this video is anything to keep our hopes over, Chapter 6 will be coming soon. Anyway, onto this horrendous pile of shit. Red Apple GP debuted in the commentary community in an absolute shitstorm of a way. In this video, he quite literally implicitly shows his biases against modern feminism and acts like a poor man's Steven Crowder. And believe me, no one should aspire to be Steven Crowder. Between his incredibly lengthy segments during the second part of this commentary, and the fact that he doesn't add anything noteworthy for a large portion of the time, Red Apple just drones on for close to an hour about how Tom actually had a semblance of a good point, even though a video that justified catcalling because some women like it isn't worth the time. I could also bring up his childish act of referring to Reddin as Dirtfoot, but really, that's the least of his concerns, quite frankly. Red Apple's video only had one semblance of a good point, and it wasn't even all that record-breaking either. His video just comes off as every other rational skeptic video in the sense that he goes all facts over feelings when in his case, some level of emotional depth has to be considered. In fact, that's the whole issue I have with facts over feelings. Yes, facts are more important, but that doesn't mean you should be an asshole about it. And when you take it as far as to say that victim blaming can be a good thing, and dismiss proof of it existing as an appeal to emotion fallacy, which wasn't even the case, then chances are you aren't as smart as you think. There's also the fact that Red Apple skips over the video in a way that takes Reddit and Hunter out of context because he doesn't even bother telling people what he's skipping. Red Apple may not have intended to come off as intentionally being dishonest, but I'm left with no choice when both of these problems are present in his video. When you make a video, it's usually a good idea to not strive to have people hate you as a person right away, because legit, I found myself bordering that by the end of this shitfest. I'm not entirely sure if Red Apple wants to continue doing commentaries or not, but if I were him, I'd put serious reconsideration into that dream. There's usually that one commentator who tries to do one thing over and over, but never seems to be able to get it completely right. In my case, I guess that'd be politics. But in the case of my number 3 entry, it would be triumphs. And if you're an idiot, yes, my number 3 entry goes to Illinois Guy 34.
Even then, I'm pretty sure the movie centers more around a family and the meaning of Christmas, whereas Jingle All the Way is about Arnold Schwarzenegger getting an action figure for his son for Christmas.
And as for the Shining miniseries being brought up...
No repetition!
Ow, don't have to slap me for that.
Oh boy, this one was quite the trip. A good mark of this video's quality is that it's the first triumph that Ernie has been involved in since his complete shipwreck of a triumph with Pikmin Trick and Mike Johnston in 2015. If you don't count any fax cams he was in. But you know what? The problem with these particular instances is that Ernie was the director of those videos. The other problem is his partners. This triad features Chirprax, who never done a commentary with anyone else but herself before, and Gem99 Show, who not only hadn't done a commentary in 2 years, but also has a record of being terrible with co-ops. This video was dead on arrival. The acting was lame, the points had either nothing to do with the video or didn't debunk anything the target had said, the jokes weren't funny, and it was boring as hell! I couldn't even sit through 5 minutes of the video without zoning out or clicking away. And keep in mind that I listen to videos in the background while I game, so the video even couldn't provide adequate background noise. Oh, and don't even get me started on Ernie's half-assed attempt to mitigate the backlash the video received by claiming responsibility for the video, but not really claiming responsibility because he kept trying to throw his buddy Gem under the bus. Yeah, I know Gem and Ernie aren't pals anymore, but just because Gem is an asshole doesn't mean you can blame him for every little fucking thing. I understand that Ernie is good-willed, but still, this video and his behavior can go scuba diving in a volcano for all I care. If there's one thing we can all agree on now, it's that Kablam Bandicoot's juice is no longer worth the squeeze. Fuck, that came out horribly. But nonetheless, many of the criticisms we harbored against him are no longer applicable. However, someone didn't get the message, it seems. And if you haven't either, my number 2 entry goes to that kid Douglas.
A lot of the same criticisms that you just levied towards Phantom Strider can be applied to you, Kablam. The only reason why you made so many videos on Mr. Enter was because you had a massive hate boner for the guy, despite the fact that numerous people told you to stop because it was completely unnecessary.
Yep. If you had to have seen this coming at least a little. That kid Douglas is the definition of an egotistical fuckface who just loves to listen to his own voice. This video is proof of that. It's a culmination of Doug's shit-flinging episode with Kablam Bandicoot. Now, I didn't pay attention to that whole rivalry they have for the most part, but what I do know is that Kablam got all pissy that Doug made a shitty call-out to Clay Claymore and jumped to his aid. And the rest is history. But if you want my honest opinion, Doug was the worst one of the two. And it takes a fucking megaton of effort to outdo Kablam. How did he pull that off? Well, Doug claimed that he was better than Kablam in every single aspect of life, and that Kablam should have taken it up the ass when Doug wanted to bash him. This all ties into his final video on Kablam. In it, Doug goes after Kablam's commentary on Phantom Strider, which is well documented as Kablam's only good commentary before he made that one on Bailskabum 94. Even when there were clear points of criticism that Doug could have made, Doug instead opts to take the route of claiming everything Kablam said is wrong, incessantly calling him a hypocrite, and at the very end, flat out admits that he did the video as a personal attack. There was no reason for Doug to even make the video, since it was clear he struggled to find actual problems with it. Now, if you ask me, it wasn't necessarily the points that held Kablam's video back from being actually good. It was the flat comedy, the fact that Kablam repeated himself an ample amount of times in certain areas, the fact that his audio shifted in the beginning, the hilarity of his statement that he was pretty much done with Phantom Strider's video, and then proceeded to continue responding to it anyway. It wasn't the devil's cum shot that Doug made it out to be. It was, at its core, a bunch of correct points wrapped up in a moderately okay commentary. And given how, according to Blaze the movie fan, that Doug still refuses to find fault with his final video on Kablam, should be an accurate mark of this guy's character. Seriously, fuck this guy and everything he stands for. Before I unveil my number 1 pick, let's run through some honorable mentions.
It was Awesomeness 45. I labeled this guy as the king of nitpicks, and I'm sticking with that.
Really, his commentaries usually seem to lack any skill, research, or a smear of effort.
Not to mention that his attention span is almost non-existent.
Hey, you know how Halo Fan was pretty much confirmed to be a troll in 2015? Well, it turns out that Can didn't get the message. But even if Halo Fan wasn't a troll, this commentary wouldn't have held up anyway, since almost everything Sonic Ward, Jonah, Crimson, and Lunatic said was utter trash. Sonic Ward's lucky I found this co-op, which sounded to be worse. That's why this video didn't make the list.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't exactly see waves of violence being enacted upon the left. In fact, most people would argue that plenty of mainstream media takes leftist sides. I ain't seeing you guys getting randomly punched in the street for your views like this alt-right guy who was fucking stalked online and sucker punched for what he was wearing. Or there's Richard Spencer and his stupid cartoon frog again. When the fuck have you been fighting for your life, huh, Mr. STEM boy?
It's funny how I go from working with the Acto Mama to suddenly calling one of her videos mindless sludge. I don't mind standing differently politically with her, but when she defends the alt-right's completely fucked up version of free speech and speaks with more disdain of feminists using words incorrectly than of neo-Nazis preaching for ethnic cleansing, tap that off with the video being boring as all fuck, and what you've got is a pretty underwhelming result.
Oh, and also you claim being part of the alt-CC is counterintuitive, yet you don't bother expounding on why.
What? How did you miss that? I was referring to the people in the alt who want to do commentaries without having to associate themselves with the CC. It's counterintuitive to that goal because you're essentially trying to get away from one community by joining another one that does the exact same thing.
You know, if there's one thing any moderately decent commentator should know, it's that rushing out a video in defense of yourself almost never works out. Reaper must have forgotten that, otherwise he wouldn't have made this slapdash pile of shit. And given how long it takes for Reaper to finish videos, should be a bigger indicator of just how bad this one in particular is.
Alright, to be blunt here, this explanation is just abysmal. All it really consists of is Phantom bringing up Cyber Okami's involvement with this video and then calling him out for being unable to join for a collab, when just citing him in some sort of credits would have resolved this a lot quicker and more conveniently.
This video feels like it never left 2014, what with its shoddy editing, bad argumentative skills, and just overall boring presentation. I hear it's not a one-off occasion for Larvesta either, and that really does not give me hope for his future as a commentator.
As I mentioned earlier, she's properly equipped for what she's about to do. She's about to go underwater deep-sea diving for treasure. Also, she puts on her regular outfit after this. Well, after a bit anyways. And now you're being intellectually dishonest again. So am I mansplaining making you triggered?
Yeah, no new developments here. When you go after an overdone subject like Anita Sarkeesian, things are bound to go south. And Skept's TB delivers on all the accounts that made this commentary a load of shit, given how much he misunderstood things and just overall sounded like he wanted to do the video out of spite, more than to give insightful critique. Is this video the worst on Anita? No, of course not. But his commentary is far from noteworthy. When I made this list, I knew exactly what my #1 entry was gonna be. A commentary so horrendously bad that it made me want to reach through the screen and savagely murder the uploader. Let's cut the shit. The worst commentary to be released this year is 6760 and Mr. Flipper Invader 782's co-op on The Only Black Girl.
If you want to know why I despise the phrase Black Lives Matter, her video is one of the reasons why.
Goody, this shouldn't cause any controversy.
I can't stand this video in the least bit. I can't stand it to a point where I actually now don't have much respect for 60 as an individual. And I don't say that very lightly, believe me. Flippy, on the other hand, I've actually had chats with him personally, and I can say he's a pretty chill guy, so I won't go too hard on him. Now, one thing I'll have to admit here in the initial Sack comment on this video is that it wasn't Sack's place to get political. I should have made that video on my own. So let me go ahead and talk about why this commentary fucking sucks one more time in hopefully a better manner. 60 in this video, in no uncertain terms, pretty much deems the Black Lives Matter movement as a terrorist group that wants to kill all white people and anyone who disagrees with them. That is not the case at all. 60 continuously cherry picks examples that are supposedly meant to show just how evil the BLM movement is, even though it's still pretty obvious she's damn near running a smear campaign. Now, are there elements of BLM that are deserving of criticism? Sure. There's the idea that it's about police violence instead of racist violence against black people overall, and how it seems incredibly unscrupulous to a point where it's less of a movement and just a bunch of people who share an end goal, but with no clear plan. But instead of going that route, 60 and Flippy decide to chug so much white tears to make BLM seem worse than it actually is. The whole dead caps thing? BLM hasn't called for that since the turn of 2015, and even actively discouraged such behavior. Hijacking events with force? Also irrelevant as of now. It's almost as if these two were stuck in late 2014 when they were making this. 60 even goes as far as to say that the video she's commentating on is one of the more reprehensible examples of why BLM is evil. Imagine that! A video merely explaining the purpose of Black Lives Matter is as reprehensible as wishing death on caps. Yeah, that's why I don't hold much respect for either of these two when the SATCOM was out. Also, Flippy, please ignore Justin's point about your credibility in the beginning. It was retarded. Barring that, combined with the audio issues involving Flippy being almost at an equal level with the background music, and 60's obnoxious audio spikes in an attempt to sound more energetic, and how the original video was kept at a low volume, and of course the shitty points, it's no wonder why this is the absolute worst commentary of 2017. No questions asked. Despite how things were in 2017, I'm really hoping 2018 will let us see a better set of days for commentators. I'd like to think everyone's now understood why things didn't go as planned for them, and they'll grow this time around. But of course, only time will tell. And as for me, I'm gonna go kick my legs up and create some smoke in an obscure location. See you around.